Here we go. We are live on Facebook and YouTube. And L.A. Marzulli, it's great to have you with us as always. And we've been talking about this movie, the Steven Spielberg film Disclosure Day, for a little while now. Basically, I think every trailer that has come out, we've talked about it. And because of your filmmaker background, we've kind of almost gone frame by frame in some of these. And so you and I both saw the film yesterday. In fact, we were texting each other while we were in the theaters across the country, me in Florida and you in California. And there's some definite themes that we are going to be talking about today that we picked up on this film. But LA, I'd like to hear your thoughts about this film, Disclosure Day. And we do have a trailer that we will play, and we'll talk about it a little bit and kind of break down what we thought things were going to be versus what they are. But we're going to do our best to not give away spoilers because I know like that we don't want people to hate us.
Exactly. And before I do anything, I just want to give a shout out to Butterflies Are Ninjas, Ninjas Are Butterflies. It's just those guys are great. It was great. And you introduced me and set me up with those guys.
Oh, yeah.
We had a real wonderful time. And maybe next year with the Orlando conference, we'll be back. Yeah.
I hope so. Yeah.
I do too. First of all, the acting is superlative. I mean, the acting is just amazing. I mean, you are put into the fictional dream right from the get-go. The fictional dream. Peggy just started up the car. The whole place. Whoa, easy. You're right from the get-go. You're plunged into the fictional dream, and it never lets up. I mean, the film never lets up.
Yeah,
2.5 hours of just bam, 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 bam. It's an emotional roller coaster. It waxes and wanes like all films should do as it goes from, let's say, a cliffhanger to another scene. Spielberg is a master filmmaker. The budget is millions and millions of dollars. Right. Every trick in the book. Everybody at the peak of their career. And you just can't make a better movie, in my opinion. So those are the positives. The cinematography is great. The action scenes are just unbelievable. And again, Emily Blunt, I mean, she should get an Oscar for that, in my opinion.
She did really, really well. Yeah.
Out of the park. I mean, she really did. And she really is the centerpiece. She's really the tentpole of the film. Her counterpart, the male protagonist in the film, he does a great job. The actor's incredible. I forget his name. It just slipped me right now. But he does a great job. And the two of them together, great chemistry on film. The bad guy, Colin Firth, is the bad guy, right? Mr. Domingo does a fantastic job. The sets the special effects are mind-numbing, absolutely mind-numbing. And, there's this tension throughout the film that never lets up. It just never, because it's one long chase scene, essentially.
Really, it is, yeah.
It's just one long chase scene, which is fantastic, That's good. But in the midst of that chase scene, there's all this dialogue and all this mystery, which the viewer begins to starts to unfold to the viewer. You don't know what's going on until really 3/4 of the film is done, and then it starts to come back. But there are some things in the film which I pegged right from the beginning.
Right.
That so-called gingerbread house that the little girl walks to, which is Emily Blunt's character, Margaret Fairchild, interesting name, huh? Margaret Fairchild, as a little girl, they show her walking into the gingerbread house. It's not a gingerbread house. It's a UFO. And I called that months ago. And also the stag is not a stag. The gray alien is presenting itself as a stag. And so, and then in the film, there's a lot of shape-shifting that happens, especially about 3/4 of the way in, which now I understand. And this is something that Spielberg actually used in the series Taken, when they have the ability to appear as whatever they want to appear as. They can appear as your dead father, your dead grandmother. It doesn't matter. It's metaschismonicide. I got that from my friend Russ Dizdar before he passed away. Metas Monosai, the idea that you can shapeshift, you can appear as whatever you want to. So you say, well, gee, where's the biblical reference to that? Satan can appear as an angel of light.
Yeah.
I think his minions can do the same thing. He can appear as a male, a female, an angel of light, a rhinoceros. He can appear as whatever he wants to appear as. They can shapeshift, and that's what is presented in the film, which is incredible. Then, of course, the last 15, 20 minutes is where we get those. I don't want to give it away too much, but Spielberg shows it in all the trailers. He shows the 1947 crash at Roswell, but in the last 15 minutes, they really zone in on it, which is really kind of cool. And it just makes me wonder, did they have access to the real film? Because there is real footage from 1947. And last Tuesday, this Tuesday, just a few days ago, the 9th of May, for those who are watching this 6 months down the road, the 9th of May, Tim Burchett, Eric Burleson, Anna Paulina Luna, who's the chairman of this committee, right? David Grush, Admiral Gallaudet was there, one-star admiral in the Navy, and a general, I forget the guy's name, and other men and women were presented. Leslie Keane was there, who broke the story of the 2017 Tic Tac, which was David Fravor. She actually wrote about it, even though it was done in 2005. It took 12 years before the story really broke, and that was on Tucker Carlson's show, and we covered it. And that actually led to the first rung of disclosure, if I can do a shameless plug here. That is that led to the book, Rungs of Disclosure, because in my opinion, that was the first rung on the ladder of disclosure going up. The second rung, just a couple of weeks after that, was Lou Elizondo on Tucker Carlson's show, talking about we have retrieved metal from crashed UFOs. I wish I had it here. It's in the other house, but I've got a little piece of metal that we retrieved from the Roswell crash. This is a piece, this is a nail, a 12-inch spike. You can see it right here, a 12-inch spike, and the whole debris field is seeded with these things. The powers that be pounded these things down into the ground. Why? It throws off the metal detectors. And this is why Frank Kimbler, who is our guide along with Chuck Sikowski, is UFOnut.com, Chuck Sikowski's site. But this is why Frank knew where to go. And we were praying. We were back by the truck, the pickup truck, Chuck's truck, and we were all praying, Gil Zimmerman and Mr. Peterson and myself. And all of a sudden, Frank Kimbler goes, "Hey guys, I got a hit." We go running over. The cameras are rolling, right? We're running over, and I go, "Where?" And he goes, "Right here." He takes a little garden spade out. It's all on film, and he digs down about 8 inches, and he's taking the soil and making a pile. And once the object is out of the ground, now he's sifting the dirt like this, and then he would take the dirt and put it in front of the metal detector, and if it didn't go off, then he would put that on another pile, take another pile. Finally, it goes beep. So now he knows he's got it in his hand. And Frank's going like this. Now he pours a little bit in this hand. Oh, so now he's got a little pile, and he starts sifting it like this, and he finds it. And I'll show you what it looks like. This is an actual picture that we, it's in the other, right there. There we go. This is a picture. We enhanced it a little bit with the starburst, but that's it. That's the piece of metal in my hand after we dug it up out of the ground, which is incredible. And we've had these tested under electron scanning microscope, and it's an aluminum alloy, aluminum magnesium, but it's in between two known aluminum alloys. Chuck Sikowski had his piece tested. Frank Kimbler had his had his piece tested, and I did with ours. And Gil Zimmerman, my business partner, and I are down there watching the proceedings, along with our webmaster, Sean C. Green, watching this thing. And this woman comes in, she's got a little device, and she takes a piece of metal. And we've already seen it under a scanning electron microscope. And the metal was folded in on itself. So when the metallurgist comes in, I ask her, I go, in your opinion, what would cause this to happen? What event might have happened that would twist the metal like this? And she goes, something like a crash or an explosion. And then I said, this is a piece from the Roswell debris field. And, you know, she gives the deer in the headlights look, completely surprised by that. So she's got a machine. She puts the metal in the machine, and it's between two known metal alloys, aluminum alloys. And then she goes, well, this is weird. I can't. And she would, and the thing would flip. Like it was here, and then, oh, and she's going, why is it flipping? She couldn't dial it in. Same thing happened to Chuck Zukowski. Same thing happened to Frank Kimbler. So this is high strangeness, and we got caught a little bit of it. But the Roswell incident was real, and they portray that. They show that in the last 15 minutes of the film, which for me, I was just like click, 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 click on my iPhone, you know, taking still shots of it because it was just amazing to see. And the question is it a reenactment? Just like when they show Nixon, they show Nixon with Jackie Gleason going in and looking at the bodies, right? And they're pulling these, like they're like frozen or whatever. They're on ice blankets, you know, they're in some sort of a, I can't think of the word, but
in the morgue.
Yeah, it's like a morgue, but it's frozen. They're frozen. And they all together, they got hazmat suits on, and they open these things up. And, you know, there's Jackie Gleason with Richard Nixon. I think that happened. I really do.
Really?
Oh, yeah. That's because Gleason, at the very end of his life, started talking about it because he was very, very troubled. And I actually used that in our 10, another shameless plug, in our 10-box DVD set. Thank you, Gil Zimmerman. And I work feverishly on these. And right now you can watch a film for 99 cents. All films are 99 cents. Why did we do this? It's through the month of June because we want people to get educated. And this is a great way to get educated, but some people won't spend the $5 per film. We drop the price to 99 cents. I can't, you know, I got to make something off of it, right?
Yeah, you got to get something back from that because you put a lot of work into those. I mean, 30 films over 30 years, 15 books, rungs of disclosure is what we talk about the most. But you've also written the Waiting Room, which is a different type of book. It's a fun story that people can enjoy. But you've got another book coming out in the near future, The Luciferian Endgame. There's talks about adding to rungs or rungs part 2, or it's just a matter of how to package it, I think. But there's so much that's coming out. And this movie, Disclosure Day, I don't know if it is a rung anymore. Is it a rung or is it not a rung? But people are talking about this, LA. And you mentioned what just happened the other day on June 9th, not May. You said May earlier, but I just
sorry, June.
Yeah, it's all right. We get into talking about all these events. You know, sometimes you just forget which month we're in because the years are going by so fast. Oh my God. Anyway, but I want to play the trailer and then we can kind of talk about it because we've talked about this trailer before, and this is the one that actually really caught our attention because Steven Spielberg, who's not normally featured in his own films, is featured in this. And so you really get to see what he is really wanting this movie to communicate. And we're going to kind of dive deeper into that. So let's play this here.
I can see you. I am much more inclined now than I was when I made Close Encounters to really believe that we're not the only intelligent civilization in the universe.
What did you steal?
Secrets. People have a right to know the truth.
This is a story about us. All of us.
Good morning, Kansas City.
Up against the most extraordinary event in human history.
What's happening to me? I'm frightened. I'm frightened out of my wits.
You don't need to be. You have someone else.
Daniel Kellner.
Who is this?
Do not go back to the house. They found you. I don't know who you are, but they're gonna kill you.
The human race cannot accept what we know. We need to stop it any way we can.
What am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing?
There's part of that car chase scene. I mean, we've got to break this up just to give some commentary, but it is one big chase throughout the whole thing.
Right from the get-go, it's a chase scene.
Yeah.
29-year cover-up of the truth has to end.
We're interrupting our coverage.
How will disclosure change us? I believe for the better. It will remind us of our capacity for empathy, and that there is something bigger out there than just ourselves.
There it is.
The only way to know your purpose is to go back to where it all began.
I know you.
I know you do. What happened to us?
I used to say to myself, wouldn't it be wonderful if all of this turned out to be true? I'm now thinking, wouldn't it be wonderful for people to know
They're coming.
all of this is true?
And morphing right here. Yep. Okay.
Whoa.
That's the film there by Steven Spielberg. All right. So you and I have both seen that. Now there's things in that trailer that make a lot more sense because you know them in context, and the trailer is basically masterfully done to get your attention.
Absolutely, all day
But
long.
I do got to say, I was expecting this to be more like Independence Day, where there was more big reveal of the actual things to the world, as opposed to the way that it was done, which I thought it was kind of clever with that as well. But I don't want to spoil it. You know, people in the comments are saying, "Don't spoil it, don't spoil it." But yeah,
No, but it's because it's one long chase scene.
Yeah.
We don't get the punchline literally until the very end of the film. And we went with our friends Dale and Carol Kornreich, and Dale, as soon as the movie's over, and he goes, "It's like they took part of your book, and made it into the film." And what he was referencing was that the last rung on the ladder of disclosure is what I believe will be a nuclear event, which will then trigger their revealing. And that's exactly what was happening in the film. In the film, without, again, spoiler alert a little bit, but there's this panic, and they show the panic when they pull up into a market and the shelves are empty, just like COVID. People are taking, running out of the store. It's mass hysteria. Why? Because they're on the threat of a nuclear event, World War III. And that's what people are. So this is not exactly, but it really leans into the book Rungs of Disclosure, because I wrote about that before this film was ever a trailer. This thing came out, be 2 years in this October, I think. So, it's that, yes, they were filming, but I didn't know anything about that.
Definitely not.
Very, very.
But it was, with that, yes, there was that's one of the reasons why, and they're talking about this in other interviews and things like that with Emily Blunt, and how she had to learn Russian and Korean. Why was she talking about that in the movie? It's because there was a Korean person on the show that she had empathy for. Like what you started seeing throughout the whole film, the way that she was reacting with people was this almost supernatural empathy that was causing her. Yeah. Absolutely. What was that, Ellie?
No, it was absolutely supernatural. The things that she was doing, she would basically read someone's mind, read them like a book. Remember the scene where she's pulled over, and we won't tell you why she's pulled over, and she just starts telling this guy, and the guy just is blown away, lets her go. She keeps doing this all throughout the movie, and it becomes amplified as she learns to work with this gift that she's been given. So what I take umbrage with is that the script is flipped, and they're not talking about cattle mutilations. We have a film on cattle mutilations, darkest film I've ever done, with Gil Zimmerman. All sorts of high strangeness happened with this film, and I mean it. Let me just tell you a quick story. So Gil and I are editing the film, and we've got it down. We've watched it a gazillion times. It looks good. We just want to watch it one more time. Right. So it's like maybe 7 or 8 o'clock. We go out and get something to eat for dinner. We go to bed. So everything is cool. We've seen the film on Final Cut Pro, in the timeline. There's the timeline, and it's, people don't understand this, but it's scene by scene, and then all the effects and the music and the sound effects. It's like all there in this timeline, which is about an hour and 10 minutes long. It's complex. Next morning, this is a true story, John. Next morning we get up and I open up the computer and the timeline is gone. The entire timeline is gone.
And your heart sank at that point.
We just looked at each other and said, "What?" And we were on the phone with Apple tech support for 4 hours with a supervisor. And this guy said, "I've been working here forever. I've never seen anything like it." So I'm not saying, we were visited by gremlins in the night, but we could have been visited by gremlins in the night who did not want this film out. Bottom line is, there's not a peep about the cattle mutilations. There's not a peep about the abduction phenomenon. We've got films on cattle mutilations and abduction. They don't tie it back into the Genesis 3:15 narrative. The seed war, which is exactly really going on. All that's sidestepped or just complete. We don't even talk about that. Instead, we get from Mother Superior at the convent, and this is in the trailer, so I'm not giving anything away. Yeah. He basically states, and I talked about this, you and I have talked about this.
Right.
With such a vast universe, God wouldn't have made us the only creatures here. Well, you don't know what this is. Nobody knows what this is. I think we're the only creatures here. We are made in the image and likeness of God. So if somebody else is out there, it's not going to be a gray, because that doesn't look like the image and likeness of God that I know.
No.
So that works. So it's the film flips the script and makes the grays the good guys. And I don't think that's too much of a giveaway. And I have a problem with that, because all my research for decades and decades say exactly the opposite. I'm interviewing this woman. Her name is Deborah, but we call her Deb. She likes to be called Deb. And she's a Christian. And so in her 20s, she's still a Christian, right? She was abducted by the Greys. And she has a little trailer. I can show that if I can share my screen. It's actually pretty remarkable. And
let's see if we can do that.
Let's see if I can do that. So
while you're figuring that out, I'll kind of talk a little bit here. Yes, we are live, so bear with us, everybody. And Ella, you were just talking about the issues that you have had with that particular film and how it was removed from your computer without you. Nobody came into your office to do anything on that. The computer didn't wipe it by itself. I mean, there was something that happened there. There has been several times, to let everybody know, that there has been several times that LA and I have decided to do videos. That I do videos, like live videos frequently, recorded videos all the time, and don't have any issues. Whenever LA and I are talking about this type of literally spiritual warfare spilling into the physicality of our world, we oftentimes have issues that I don't have at any other time. And so as he was talking about that, I totally understand what, how to relate to that and how I've seen it on my end, where I've actually literally had to restart the computer and in the middle of us trying to be live. And that was wild, but we did it. And I was able to get up and running again. But my goodness, this kind of stuff is real. And we're talking about this from a Christian standpoint, where we believe that God created the heavens and the earth, that he created Adam on the 6th day and then Eve. And okay, now I can see your screen here. LA, we're getting close. I'm
trying to just show my screen.
Let's see here. We're getting there. But
okay, sure.
One of the things that you mentioned about Mother Superior in this film, whenever she receives a phone call from the secondary female character, I forget, Jill is her name in this,
right?
Who used to be religious, but now she's not. She calls the Mother Superior and says, and literally tries to quote from the Bible, specifically Genesis. You just brought up Genesis 3:15, but where she was talking about how this is in Genesis, God created human as the supreme, as a supreme species, and then Mother Superior kind of corrects her and adds, on this earth. And it's like, wait, okay, wait a second.
Yeah,
there's a shift there. LA, let's talk about this before we go any further in your trailer there.
And what this is why Spielberg says it's all true. So he's on board. That's why he does Taken and E.T. and all this other stuff. And I would love to sit down with him and just explore the Genesis 3:15 narrative. I don't think anybody's ever told him about that. It's a seed war, Stephen. It's a seed war, and it erupts in Genesis 6. We're told about it in Genesis 3:15. Thank you, Gary Stearman. But it erupts and becomes, in everybody's face in Genesis 6. We're the sons of God, which are always the fallen angels, and there are people who try to tell us it's the godly line of Seth. It's not the godly line of Seth. It's the B'nai Ha Elohim, Hebrew, sons of God, angels, all right? And human women. They combine. They take wives. The fallen angels come down, they take wives. This is the whole Nephilim stuff. The progeny is the Nephilim, and that's the reason for the flood. And they do it over and over and over again. And then in Daniel 2:43, we're told their seed will mingle with the seed of men, but they will not cleave to them. Whose seed are we talking about? Well, it's not the seed of men. So whose seed is it? Genesis 3:15. This is why Genesis 3:15, and you and I have talked about this till the cows come home, it's the gateway to the biblical prophetic narrative. If we understand Genesis 3:15 and we have the proper exegesis of it and understand that it's a seed war, when we get to Genesis 6, the seed war is happening. And let me throw something else out to you. In the book of Revelation, and I just got this about a month or two ago, and I'm not making a doctrine out of it, and I'm not saying this is what happened. It's just food for thought. And I get it. If it's not written in the Bible, LA, we shouldn't be thinking. Well, the late Chuck Missler used to, extrapolate and think and wonder, and I do the same thing. So we know the mark of the beast. You take the mark of the beast, you wind up in the lake of fire. Something happens. I believe it changes your DNA. You're no longer human. Don't ask me how that works. I don't know. But God just doesn't arbitrarily throw people in the lake of fire because he's a vengeful, malicious, maniacal God. Doesn't do that. So something's happening with the mark. Similarly, and this is conjecture, underline the word conjecture. In the days of Noah, only 8 people get on the ark. What are we looking at here? Did the other human beings that were there somehow take something into them which changed them? Just food for thought. So we know from Daniel 2:43, their seed will mingle with the seed of men. Then we spring up to Jesus, the Matthew 24, Luke 21, Mark 13, synoptic gospels, and he points back. He says, it'll be like the days of Noah. At the coming of a son of man, so it shall be like the days of Noah. So it'll be like the days of Noah. This is why the proper exegesis, going back to Genesis 3:15, is so important, because when Jesus is pointing back to the days of Noah, he's not talking about the Sethite theory, because the Sethite theory isn't invented until the 4th century. And Jesus is speaking in the 1st century. So that just isn't going to work, in my humble opinion. So we're looking at the mingling of the seed. And from there, this is what we get with the modern day abduction phenomena. Again, number 4, you can watch for 99 cents right here. UFO disclosure. We have 10 films. And number 4, we have 2 men and 2 women. All of them have been abducted. The women were impregnated by them, right? Mixing of the seed, Daniel 2:43. Why should we be surprised? It's written in our Bibles. It's right there. The seed war. And so these women are abducted. They become pregnant. And then in the 3rd month of their pregnancy, they are re-abducted. That hybrid entity is taken from the womb and put into an artificial womb. How do we know that? Experiencers see it. They tell us. People like Karen Wilkinson, Angela Beckman, and those were 2 people in the film, as well as Emil Jurek, who was an abductee. We took an implant out of him, which I believe is the prototype to the mark of the beast. We're the only Christian ministry ever to do any of this stuff, because most people won't even look at it. But we took the implant out. And when I started talking about implants, I was laughed at until we took one out. And then all of a sudden, flatline, crickets. No one said anything, because it's all on film. It's in our Watcher series. And he was abducted at 5 years old. So get this. So the baby, the hybrid entity, is taken from the mother's womb. It has to go into an artificial womb. Welcome to the world of cattle mutilations.
Right.
Kowski. The blood can be used if you just can't take blood from a cow and put it in a human. You've got to mess with it. Well, what do you think they're doing? They're messing with it. And so the blood from a cow can be used in a human transfusion if you work with it, right? And think about the genetic material that's taken from the cow, the eye, the tongue, the ear, the sex organs, sometimes the lungs or the stomach. They are creating artificial wombs for the hybrids to go into. Folks, listen, this is the deep end of the pool. I get it. This is not for the faint of heart. But everything I just said is based on the biblical narrative, and it's based on decades of research, and it's based on eyewitness accounts of me going out and talking to these. Our film on abductions, there's 2 men and 2 women. They've all been taken numerous times. Seed war.
And that is it's a wild subject, and thank you everybody for bearing with us. But it's something that I want to encourage you to go to LA's website, lamarzulli.net, and you can get links to see the films for 99 cents right now. That's basically free. I mean, that's pretty much a song on iTunes. That's less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks for sure. Bingo. And it'll catch you up to speed on what is happening, and really as Christians, how we need to be prepared for what is coming, because there's the seed war that's been going on since the beginning of time. And we need to be prepared for the part that God has called us to play in this day and hour for that. And LA, you have a trailer that you wanted to play on your screen. Hopefully your sound will be able to play. Can you put that as full screen? Because right now I'm seeing the edges of your screen there.
Yeah, it's just oop.
Let's see.
Yeah, why can't I?
Technology, I love it.
No, hold on. Enter full screen. Okay.
There we go. Okay, here we go. We're gonna play this here for you. Okay. And whenever you're ready, I'm gonna put it up.
Here we go. Okay. Can you hear the music?
I'm not hearing any music now.
That's weird.
There must be some setting that it's not going through.
Yeah.
Just describe to us what's going on.
So you're looking at the grays. They come in. This is the mantis type, and she's on that table covered by a sheet. And the mantis lifts the sheet up off of her. This is where she was in the woods, like in some place she'd never seen before. And let me just stop it and go back here.
What is this though? Like, this is a trailer for something, but this is
okay.
Give us an overview before we go any further.
This woman, her name is Dev. She'll be on my show today, but we've already interviewed her once, actually 2 times, and she's been on my show. And she's a Christian, and she was taken by them numerous times. And she would get on board, and they would kind of kick her off after a short time. So she went through the process, but they never, experimented on her or did the type of examinations that they did with Karen. So here we've got the grays, and this guy right here would come up and put his eyes right next to hers, and then she would go up through the ceiling, just like Karen. This is a mantis being. So Deb is laying on the table like this. All right, she's on the table.
So this is kind of like recreations of somebody's testimony that you're putting together in this little trailer.
This is Dev. She's an artist, and she created this video. This is her video. She created it, and she's telling us what she experienced. So here she is. She's on the table, and this is a mantis type entity which screams at her right here as it lifts the sheet up. And the next thing is she's in this place, and there's this huge saucer, and the grays are in the windows. And I have heard this numerous times from experiencers, people who have had, multiple contacts. And then it shifts to the waiting room, believe it or not. So this is a room. The abductees are taken into this room, and they're given tasks. They're given tasks to do. And it's bizarre, absolutely bizarre. And when Deb was in there, she just said, "I don't like this. I'm getting out of here." And so she would get up and walk out, and that's why they kicked her off the ship. And they kicked her off the ship numerous times. Let's get out of here. And then this is more than likely a hybrid. Look at that right here.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
freaky.
yeah.
It's
It's freaky. And this is because of the breeding program where they don't have it right. They never get it right. This
because
is
they cannot create. They can only manipulate, counterfeit, and destroy.
That's it. That's what they do. So this entity, in my opinion, is in a fixed state. It's soulless. They never get the eyes right because the eyes are windows to the soul. So do they, a soul is emotions and all this other stuff, and I get that. But they're imparted with the genetics, and only God can give a soul, and God's not giving this guy a soul.
Right.
And it's when I saw that, very, very disturbing. And we've had reports of these guys from other witnesses, other than Dev, who have seen these guys with dark sunglasses and a wig on. And they describe the very pale features. So watch this.
Again, for people that are just tuning in, this is a recreation of somebody's testimony. There is audio on this clip, but LA is having to talk about it over this.
So this is one of two things. It's what a fallen angel looks like because they're emaciated. It's a tall white. We're not sure really what it is. I lean towards fallen angel.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you why in just a second. And Deb was put into this container thing, and this is a tall white, or that's a Nordic, excuse me.
A Nordic, yeah.
Yeah, and the Nordic was very angry at her. And you can see the very stern expression. So I want to go back here just real quick.
Okay.
So this, I think that is what a tall white is. And I think a tall white is actually what a fallen angel looks like in its natural state. And I'll explain that in just a second.
Okay.
And again, this is conjecture. This was some robotic-like entity which totally freaked her out. And it was shaking like this. And then she was flying in the ship, and this looks exactly like Area 51, S4, that Bob Lazar talks about, the doors in the mountainside.
Mm.
And I found I'm going to tell her this afternoon. I don't think she knows that. That is S4, in my opinion, all day long.
Interesting.
That's what S4 looks like, according to Bob Lazar. And the hangars open up, and there's saucers. There's UFOs in each one. So this is May 28th. This just happened to her. And what she saw were these 3 boxes that came in like this. She's asleep. She wakes up, and these boxes come up at her like videos. And she sees the Greys, the Mantis, the Nordic, and she's totally freaked out. And she starts praying in Hebrew. She's fluent in Hebrew, apparently.
Okay.
So she starts praying in Hebrew. And when she says, Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Messiah, he says, the Nordic says, I am your enemy.
Oh, wow.
That's what she's praying. And what happens?
What was that, LA?
And there it goes.
There it goes. Okay.
Yeah. This thing,
Wow.
I'll show you that again. It just snaps right out.
It says, I am your enemy, and then it disappears.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, that's what we're looking at. Let me stop the, you're in the show, beep, beep.
Yeah. That's wild. And so that was a recreation, an AI recreation of
Correct.
What
Correct.
this woman Dev experienced. And you're going to be having her on your show later today. When will that come out? Actually,
It'll come out. Well, it probably won't be posted till next week, but
next week. Okay. But make sure you subscribe to LA's channel, the LA Marzulli on YouTube, and you will be able to get updates whenever he puts out new videos with that. But he does interviews with people that have abductee testimonies, other people that have had implants, all the stuff from your films, and you give constant commentary about what is happening in the world.
Yes,
as it relates to this disclosure. And so as we're talking about this film, Disclosure Day, which we believe is going to be a big conversation piece for a lot of people.
It will
What
be.
if this does happen? Well, you know, there's going to be a lot of people that honestly they have not paid attention to the previous rungs of disclosure, where you have the David Fravor, you know, Grush,
David
Grush, the hearing, the congressional hearings, there has been an ongoing disclosure rung after rung, and people are just not paying attention to it. So we believe that people are going to be having conversations this summer because of this film. Well, what if this is right?
Right.
I mean, and Steven Spielberg in that trailer that we played earlier literally says, this is true. I'm just summarizing it up. He literally says, this is true. So that's his statement. He's not like, it is just a wild thing to hear that.
Let me add to that. Later on in the interview, he says some Christians are going to have trouble with this. He says, not some, he says Christians may have trouble with this, something like that. In other words, it's going to challenge people's faith. So this is in the new book coming out, the Charisma, you know, our Charisma is publishing it. Thank you, Charisma. Thank you, Stephen Strang and the rest of the crew. But there's a very controversial scripture. One is found in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. The Spirit, you know, it's basically the idea that before the day of the Lord there's going to be a falling away. And the word there is apostasia. There's like 3 different positions a person can hold. One, this apostasy is a falling away. Well, it just deals with the Jews. Okay, it's not about the church. It's about the Jews. Okay, that's one interpretation. Another interpretation is they're talking about departure, rapture of a church. The third one is exactly what the word says, in my opinion, and this is the one I hold to, that there will be an apostasy. People will leave the faith. Jump over to 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 1. The Spirit expressly states that in the latter days some will depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and the doctrine of demons. Let's walk through it. So there are 2 positions. One, if you're a Calvinist, you believe in eternal salvation. You believe that you were elected before the foundations of the world. That's what you believe. And so you can't possibly lose your salvation. And that is the Calvinistic Reformed theology. That's what people believe, okay? The other position is the one I hold to, which is the Arminian position, which basically states that we have free will. And yes, it's grace. Yes, it's mercy. He draws me in, but I don't have to do that. He's not twisting my arm. And at 30 years, my prayer was, I believe in Jesus. No, it wasn't that at all. My prayer was, if you're real, then come into my life. That's free will all day long. He's not twisting my arm. It's not some, in my opinion, it's not some, you know, thing that just happens because I'm elected from the foundations. Well, maybe I am elected because he knows who I am, but it's still free will choice. So as an Arminian, or one who holds to the Arminian persuasion of that verse, it's free will. And the Catholic religion also believes that they are Arminian. They believe, well, they're not really Arminian, but they believe that someone can lose their salvation. So once again, the Arminian believes that you can walk away. Well, that ties right into the 1 Timothy chapter 4. Some will depart from the faith. And the Calvinists would say, well, they really weren't Christians anyway. Well, that's convenient to say. I get that. It's very convenient on your end because it puts the bow on your belief system. But I'm not buying that at all. I think as one who adheres to the Arminian position, that it's a free will choice. And that begs the question, what would cause some to depart from the faith? We are here. It's happening. It's being orchestrated in that film. The halls of Congress are talking about it. Day of Disclosure, the film by Dan Farrow, which we did
Age of Disclosure, yeah.
Yeah, Age of Disclosure. What did I say?
Day of Disclosure, yeah.
That's Disclosure Day is Spielberg. Age of Disclosure is Dan Farrow's. And thank you for the correction. And Farrow, in the very beginning of the film, has, you know, scientists, physicists, congressmen, congresswoman, Marco Rubio, head of state, Secretary of State, and all these other people look right at the camera and go, we are not alone in the universe. We are not the only species in the universe. We are not alone. I have seen with my eyes, extraterrestrial craft and bodies not from this world. I mean, it just goes on and on. For the first 2 or 3 minutes, you're just, peppered with these statements. What do you do with that? Every Friday night, Ancient Aliens, what are they saying? We were seeded here by extraterrestrials. Ancient astronauts, they visited it. They started the world's religions and everything else. And here we are. And that's what these people believe. That's what they're promulgating every single Friday night. So this is it. Congress, David Grush stands up. We have non-human biologics. So it's huge pushback, but what are these really? And I want to correct something. A lot of people, and even on your thumbnail, and I'm not saying this to embarrass anybody, certainly not to embarrass you, but they put it under the umbrella of demons. I would correct that. This is Luciferian, which is a much broader umbrella. A demon is a Casper the Ghost. It's a disembodied spirit of the Nephilim. How do we know that? Read Book of Enoch, Book 1. Disembodied spirits of the Nephilim become the demons that wander the earth. They are earthbound, according to the Book of Enoch. And I get it. Some people will stand up, oh, it's not part of our canon. We shouldn't read it, blah, 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 blah. It's found in the Dead Sea Scrolls. Jude quotes it. Read it. And then decide for yourself. Just read it. And then, you're a smart person, those of you who are watching this, otherwise you wouldn't be watching this, and read it and say to yourself, well, this rings true. It's not canon, but we can appreciate its historicity. And that's what I'm saying. And the Book of Enoch tells us that these demons that wander the earth are the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim, which makes perfect sense. And they are
right,
earth.
right.
So the enemy knows this. That's what the Greys are. The Greys are avatars, meat suits, that the demons inhabit. How do we know this? Whitley Strieber, who is not a Christian, by the way, talks about this. I think it's in the book Communion. Karen Wilkinson talks about it in Stolen Seed. Al Matthews talks about it in our film. Emil Jurek talks about it in our film. The tall whites, and this is where I'm circling back to something I said before. When the angels in heaven stand around the throne room, okay, and as a carnal man who's never been there, I don't understand that. That seems kind of boring to me. You worship you, Lord. How long of a worship service is this? A year, a month? It's like, what are we looking at? And I get that, because worship is great, and I understand. I was a worship leader, and I love to worship, but I didn't really understand it. Really didn't get my head around it till about a month or two ago, when the Lord showed me this. Okay, when the angels, and this is conjecture, but I think the Holy Spirit led me in this. When the angels are gathered around the throne room and they are worshiping the Lord, it's not one-sided. They're not worshiping at Him. He is giving back to them sustenance in ways that we don't understand. Energy, sustenance. He's giving that. He's giving portion of Himself back to them.
Well, that goes. I mean, you're a former worship leader, but you're definitely a worshiper, myself as well. And there's moments that we are in worship that you definitely feel like God is pouring Himself, or pouring Himself back into us as we're pouring ourselves out to Him.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to meditate on that.
I know
a lot more. Yeah, for sure.
It's deep into the pool here, and folks, be a Berean. Do your own research. A fallen angel is no longer in the presence of a living God. They've been denied. They're not worshiping the Lord. So they're not receiving sustenance from Him. They're not receiving blessings and goodness from Him. They're not. They're in a fallen state, and they're not worshiping anymore.
Yeah.
They are immortal beings. They can't be killed, but I believe it can be wounded, but they can't be killed. They're immortal. Is it possible, conjecture, the tall whites are exactly what a real fallen angel looks like before they shapeshift? They are emaciated, they're tall, they're white, and they kind of float around. That's conjecture. When was the last time anybody sat down with Beelzebub and had 20 questions and got answers?
Yeah.
Not going to happen.
No.
So there's a lot going on here. I just want to wrap up my position by saying this. some will depart from the faith. And this whole thing is it's absolutely orchestrated, in my opinion.
Yep.
It's a managed agenda. Christians, you need to bone up, understand what's going on. Rungsofdisclosure.com. The book, our publisher, Charisma, they did a great job. We're looking at doing a second edition. So do your homework. Do your homework.
Well, LA, literally, I just got a notification that I saw somebody in the comments say that there was another drop today of more videos by the Department of War.
Yeah,
I have one of those queued up. I haven't seen it yet, but I want to play it while we're here because there's no better place to do this. So I'm going to share this here and let's watch this. It's only 2 minutes and 28 seconds. Again, I have not seen this yet, but this was put out by the Department of War. TMZ reposted it. So this is
there it is right there. This is a CE1 event, Close Encounters of the First Kind.
So that orb.
Now it should start to change color, maybe. No, it's not.
There's another.
There we go. High strangeness. Absolutely high strangeness.
And so this is the U.S. Department of War that is saying we don't know what this is, right? Right, LA? Like this is the Department of War saying we don't know what that is.
Another CE1 event. Well, the reason why it's glowing, in my opinion, is because of the anti-gravity, the wave form, which lights up the craft. It's bending space and time. That's how it moves.
Here's another one.
Another CE1 event. Close Encounters of the First Kind is when the craft is very far away, which is what we're seeing, lights in the sky. A CE2 event is when Close Encounters of the Second Kind is when the craft is within 100 yards. A Close Encounter of the Third Kind is when you see the beings on the craft, which is what we have with our Kumburgaz UFO film. Close Encounters of the Fourth Kind is when you're actually communicating with the entities inside the craft.
There's another. I mean, this
another
is another
CE1. All these, notice all these are CE1s.
And yes, we do have drone technology out there, but this is beyond what drones are able to do at a distance and at speeds.
And, you know, most people will go, well, so what? What is this? Our government, your government, the Department of War, is telling us that the phenomenon is real. And it is.
Right.
I want to show you real quickly a CE3 event.
Okay.
Go to full screen again, like where you were. And
right there. Back to full screen. There we go.
Yeah, right. Oh, sorry.
There we go.
Right there. This is a CE3 event. And what you're looking at right here are the beings in the craft. And if I can share my screen again, I can show you what this is from Dev. And where is it? And Dev, hold on, here it is right there. Open that up. Okay. And get rid of this. Give me a second. I'm going to share my screen. You don't see that, right?
I'm not seeing it yet. No.
Okay, hold on. Oh. And I'm going to share my screen. Share screen. Share screen. Screen. And we're going to go share entire screen.
I love that this is live. Here we go. This is great.
It just makes you jump through a million hoops.
Yeah.
So Dev did this for me. She's really great. And we're going to enter full screen.
There we go. Here we go.
This is a Kumburgaz UFO film. This is a CE3 event because you can see the beings inside the craft. and just watch what happens as she starts putting filters through it. And who's that staring back at you?
So this has been enhanced, but it's
enhanced.
original.
Yeah, it's the original footage, but it's gone through filters to filter out certain colors. So what we see here is we see the grays. Plain as day. And the late Richard Shaw used to believe, as I do, that what we were looking at was an abduction taking place. And the reason for this is, and Rick didn't say, because it goes by really quick. So the two entities are here in front of the two entities. It looks like there's someone on a table. And then there's another entity who comes in like this, really hyper speed. So you have to slow it way down. It might be a mantis type being.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, really spooky.
Very interesting. Well,
Yeah.
LA, there's always so much that we can talk about here. And again, I just want to encourage everybody to go check out LA's website, lamarzulli.net. Right now, for this month of June, you can see all of his films for 99 cents each. And that will help you in your as you're trying to understand what is happening in our world with disclosure among us. So, LA, thank you, brother, for being able to get on here. Thank you for watching the film with me on other sides of the country.
It was fun.
And being able to just talk about this. And really, we want people to understand that Jesus is God, that
Amen.
he has overcome the devil, the evil one, that what we're seeing is a manifestation into the natural of what is happening in the supernatural world. And we have authority through Jesus's name. And we need to make sure that we're relying on him and him alone. There's a lot of nuance to some of the other stuff that we could spend a lot of time talking about, some of that other stuff with Nephilim technology and fallen angel technology, Nephilim architecture, fallen angel technology, as you often talk about. But I think this is a great place to wrap up. The Disclosure Day is out in theaters now. We know people are going to be talking about it, but us as the body of Christ need to be able to give a response whenever people are talking about the concepts and the just the ideas that are being presented there. So be ready. Keep looking up to Jesus, not a UFO. All right.
Well said,
All
John.
right.
Have me on.
Thank you.